Najma Nazy'at, who's been involved in youth development for over 15 years. She's now the lead organizer and director of the Boston Youth Organizing Project, a youth-led, adult-sponsored organization that works for social change and justice in the Boston area. They have a long string of accomplishments at both individual schools and citywide, including winning extended hours for student passes on the T and getting Boston schools to hire more guidance counselors. So Najma, can you tell us a little bit about your strategy for winning these campaigns, including who is your target and how you were able to move them to support your issue?
Thank you, Cynthia. I have a complicated job up here because we're not the same kind of group as everybody else. So actually where I really want to start quickly is you just remembering and imagining, as we're imagining what it felt like to be 15 years old, navigating a city. You're turning 16, navigating getting your permit. You're turning 17, navigating going to college. Just remember what that felt like for you and how real it was for you and your natural networks of friends. Who the other people were who were affected by what you were affected by. This year, anybody got high school seniors who are graduating this year? You had a child that were a high school senior? And you know the craziness that starts happening right at this time. You're worried about summer jobs, you're worried about money. These are the young people. So imagine being 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old in the city of Boston. You have a job, you have extracurricular activities, you're trying to make your life more interesting. You don't just go home right after school. Teenagers don't do that. But when you go to get home on the train, your student pass doesn't work anymore because it is 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, the pass runs out. And at 6 o'clock, you can't get on a bus or a train with that pass. You have to pay then an adult fare. But imagine you're also 14, 15, 16 years old. You don't have the same economy as your parents. Your parents might not have that much of an income. You don't have anybody to turn to. How do you get home? What do you do in that moment? That's the kind of organizing we do. So the grassroots work that we do is tapping into young people and their natural networks. And when I say young people is a huge age range. Some of you all might look at me and go, you young lady. But I really mean particularly middle school and high school students who aren't voters. And unfortunately, because they aren't voters, a lot of times they can be forgotten about, like on the MBTA. Anytime there's a fare hike, the last time a fare hike happened, at the MBTA, high school students were forgotten about. So what young people start to do is they start to talk about it. They complain. You all know, you all who work with young people, you have young people in your lives, they get on the phone, they IM, they chat, and they complain about what's happening to them. This thing, not being able to travel past 6 o'clock for a well-rounded teenager or a young person in the city of Boston and in the Cambridge, Somerville areas, was a real problem. Young people got together. Imagine there's an organizer who comes to your school after school and they have pizza. 15, they have pizza and they might have a couple of questions. What's making you angry? How do you change that? Who else does that affect? So those are the kind of things we teach basic organizing to young people in their schools and in their communities. And by teaching organizing, young people actually come up with solutions because we talk about issues. And even framing, talking with young people about framing an issue, identifying an issue, and connecting it to need, creating a space for young people to have a critical analysis. Sometimes they walk out of a chapter meeting or a citywide meeting and go, wow, that was deeper than school. I learned a lot today. But then, what if you learn something and then you get to apply it? So what if somebody starts asking you all those questions and organizing? Somebody like me, they come with a fun t-shirt and you got pizza, so we kind of got them. You got your friends, then you really got them. You know, it's kind of after school, you can relax a little bit, have some pizza, you get to have this great discussion, you learn about things like issues, but then, because it's organizing, you get to do something. So that's the magic of our program. We're not a youth development group, we're not a drop-in center, we're an organizing group. We purely teach young people the tools of organizing. Why organizing? Why young people? Because young people have networks, because they're affected, And there are too many young people at a grassroots level who are affected by things that could be changed administratively. Something that could be changed in your schools, guidance counselors. How many people in here believe all young people in a high school should see their guidance counselor in their senior year? Easy, breezy, easy. But in 2005, when we had taken up the guidance counselor campaign for the third time, this was one of the campaigns that was the hardest one to win. What happened in chapter meetings was what happened here. People agreed that all the stress and anxiety about moving on, a lot of it could have been eased for young people in a whole entire school by just having guidance counselors who could listen to you and help you understand what your next steps are. Young people can't go to college if people don't help them find financial aid, if they don't help them understand the application process, if you don't understand where to get a recommendation from, how important your extracurricular activities are. I don't know who went to college in this room, but I know it's important to have extracurricular activities on the way up to high school career. Grades aren't good enough anymore. And guess who else knows that? Young people. So they started to organize. Who did they organize? Themselves first. And they tried to figure out, using surveys, using creative actions. Young people actually, in our organization, we don't wait until this part of the season to get out. We will get out right in the fall. So the kickoff of 2005 year was standing outside of the State House with big red hearts and big signs that say, I care and I don't, a number of issues that young people identified, and that's how, in that fall, we decided that the guidance counselor issue was an important issue. We had adults, young people, it's Park Street, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and people holding up big, colorful signs, and lots of young people with the same t-shirts on, asking and doing surveys. So we don't wait to mobilize people. We try to attract people every single year at the beginning of the school year to hear from young people, what are your issues? They then identify them, and then they begin to go after the target. I just want to say one thing about the target. For both of these campaigns, the targets were bureaucratic administrators. Policy can be made at a lot of levels. Sometimes the levels that count are the levels of the actual living conditions. And for young people in their schools, a lot of times the target is a principal or the people at the central office and or the school committee. And for both of these campaigns, the targets were the general managers and the central guidance counselor office. So those are the campaigns that we win, and a lot of times that's at the level we win it by, and that's how we win.